What's up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be talking about those times where your business is failing. Constantly, we see all over social media, do these 3 steps to become a millionaire. You see these highlight reels on Instagram or YouTube of some 12-year-old driving a Ferrari because he's just made his first $1 million via, I don't know, drop shipping or something like that. And we see this constantly all the time, but reality isn't really like this. And somebody sent me this article of a person talking about their business failing, and all these comments are chipping in about their business failing as well. And I don't think we talk about this enough, which is why I wanted to react to this and talk through it. Here it is, and this is posted in the entrepreneur subreddit by Bloody Rare One. It's a story of failure. It says, while it's inspiring to hear success stories, it's important to acknowledge the realities as well. Personally, I've been involved in over 20 different projects over a period of roughly 5 years. So that's roughly 4 different projects or businesses per year. Unfortunately, out of those projects, only one was truly successful in that instance. I invested $2,000 and dedicated 5 months of my time, which resulted in earning over $250,000 within 2 months of launch. However, rather than being cautious with the funds, I reinvested all the earnings back into the business, which ultimately failed about a year later. So it's interesting this because we live in this time where constantly all over social media, it's like you should absolutely be sacrificing the now so you can live a better life later on. You should be, taking all the joy out of life so you can be building this business. And also what they say as well is as soon as, you get some money, you should be reinvesting it all back into your business. I made this mistake as well, by the way, on one of my businesses. And this was in my early years, and I reinvested everything back in, and then it ended up failing, right? And I had no money because I reinvested everything in. And I think the first lesson is really you should be taking a little bit of money for yourself there, just so you can sustain yourself for the inevitable bumps in the road. And it's tough, right? Because we think that the more we put in, the more we're going to get out. But realistically, life doesn't really work like that. Even more so when you consider the statistics of business failure. In the US, in the first 2 years, 20% of businesses fail. In the first 5 years, 45% of businesses fail. In the first 10 years, 65% of businesses fail, right? So think how many businesses are being started every single day, and the majority of them fail, right? Then there's a big failure rate very, very early on as well. Now, at 33 years old, I find myself questioning my sanity. I'm broke, unemployable, and emotionally defeated. The possibility of adapting into a traditional workplace after years of hustling is basically impossible for me at this point. So you kind of get used to calling the shots when you're an entrepreneur, right? You get used to having the flexibility, calling the shots, making up your own mind and the decisions about important things. And sometimes you know a lot more about business than maybe your employer actually knows about business, even if you've failed, right? So it's hard to humble yourself and then suddenly take the orders and suddenly think to yourself, some of these orders are not quite right. And if I was in that position, I'd be saying things like this. It's different levels. And I've seen people who've went back to actual jobs after years of running their own business, and they suddenly can't take orders anymore. They've got a bit of an ego about them. So I recently spent another 3 months on my last 1,000 bucks developing a product that unfortunately didn't gain any traction. And this is my breaking point, my rock bottom, hopefully. While I appreciate the success of a fortunate few, it's important for people to understand that this reality may not be the norm for the majority of us. The lesson here is that hard work doesn't always pay off. Absolutely right. I think you do have to work hard. It's like one of the main ingredients, but you can be working hard on the wrong things as well. And hard work doesn't necessarily guarantee success. How hard do the people work who collect your bins every single day, right? How hard do taxi drivers work where they drive around all day and they're currently getting beat by Uber, right? People who use Uber instead, and they work all day and they make just above minimum wage, and that's kind of their life as well. When I was in the bar industry, I was a bartender for a while, and then I went into bar management. When I went into bar management, I wasn't paid that well, and I used to work 60, 70 hours a week, and even in my off time, I was having to sort sickness out for people who were calling in sick, and I was working hard all the time, right? But that didn't help me at all. That didn't guarantee me success. And the reason why is I wasn't really being smart about the decisions I was making and being realistic about the goals I was setting myself. And the goal I was setting myself was to earn money, but I was doing a job which doesn't earn much money and doesn't reward me. So, this person's obviously had a massive win of $250,000 in 2 months of launch. And the big problem here is they didn't put money aside for the bumps in the road. The amount of people I've seen who started their business, they've took months, particularly in the SMMA community, they've took months to get their first client. And once they've got their first client, they kind of get this sense of relief. They start, delivering the service or whatever they've promised this client. And then suddenly what happens is they're like, whoa, it hasn't got any easier to get the second client. It's still just as hard. That is a huge realization for a lot of people. So we've got this person here, break on through 65. You're only 33, you've got years and years to get back on your feet. If you're broke, get a job, use your free time to learn as much as you can and maybe dabble small money in new ventures, but only a small amount to prove a minimum viable product. Do you have your health? If yes, then you don't know how lucky you are. Damn, that's a good response, right? I remember when I turned 25, and I turned 25 and suddenly I was looking forward for years to turning 25. I was kind of like mid-20s, it's coming up to the prime of my life. I feel like I'm on my way somewhere. And when I turned 25, I got this overwhelming feeling like, whoa, 20s are supposed to be the best years of your life, and I'm halfway through them already. And like, what does that mean for me? And when I got to 30, the day I turned 30, damn, I was sad, man. Damn, I was sad. I was like, the 20s are supposed to be the best years of my life. I've just spent most of my 20s working. And I made those sacrifices. But when you put it into context that people, live to 80 years old, right? It is still young. And there's a lot of time to learn, to fail and learn from those failures and then come back as well. I went through a period, and this was only a few years ago, I was testing out good business ideas. And I tested out as quickly as I could, because I know time is the most valuable thing you've got. It's more valuable than money. I tested out around about 60 different business ideas in a period of 6 months. And I tested them out as fully as I could. The ones which I thought weren't working straight away, I cut straight away. And then I focused more on the ones. And out of that, there was like 3 ideas, 2 which worked kind of well, 1 which worked really well. And I ended up, the one that worked really well is like one of my businesses right now. While I appreciate everyone cheering him on, and we can't expect someone in a mental state to feel pumped, you need energy for that. Perhaps some type of break might be, he should attempt his best to put himself around friends, to take himself away for a little while, to step back, right? There's no problem in taking a step back when you've had a defeat. I used to see it as weakness. I used to be like, oh, it's so weak, you got to grind all the time. But realistically, there's science now which shows that the best ideas, good ideas, creative ideas come to you when you are away from your desk, when you are maybe walking in nature, or when you are on less of a schedule. In fact, the science says that if you are on a very, very tough schedule, which a lot of these entrepreneurs say, keep yourself on the schedule, make sure that you don't have a single minute free in the day unless you're eating a little bit of lunch, because that's how you get the most done. It's great for productivity and it's great for hitting targets. What it actually isn't great for is letting your mind come up with creative ideas. It's actually the worst for that, right? So go with the science, always go with the science. Yeah, I agree. Go back into learning mode to improve your chances, blah, 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 blah. You've already accomplished more than most people by successfully turning, $2,000 into $250,000. That in itself should be, I can't even read. Some days I get up and I just can't even read. I don't doubt you can do this again. Don't give up, it's hard, I can empathize, but where there's a will, there's a way. But 20 projects in 5 years is way too many. You don't have enough time to dedicate full focus and properly execute the plan, where you start a new one every 3 months on average. One of the smartest things that a person ever told me, it was in a mastermind, you should be running experiments all the time. You should be using all of your time basically to run experiments and cutting the experiments that don't work, which is what I was talking about before, which is what I did with all those business ideas. You can see quite well if you come up with an idea and test it rapidly and drive traffic to it straight away. You can see very, very quickly what's actually got legs. In fact, you don't even have to develop the product or deliver on the service. You can just put it out there like a landing page and see what's getting most of the attraction and attention. Just relax for some time, give yourself a break, start meditation, go out, things happen. It's perfectly okay. Start a podcast of failure stories. That's a great idea. A lot of podcasts cover successful people. You can try to cover people who really tried hard but failed. Use a similar mechanism to launch this like you launched your most profitable project. Just an idea, good luck, bud. Listen to me. Tom is Lav23, straight in there with the domineering. Listen to me. We are alike. I was like you. I started more businesses than I can out. I can have hundreds of ideas, but only 3 projects worked and became a stable business with great income. Don't give up. It takes a lot of time. Your friends will look down on you. Don't give up. It takes a lot of time. Your friends will look down on you. The secret is to tell no one how much you are worth. Always lowball your earnings. As far as my friends are concerned, I earn 2K a month. Keep quiet and work your way up. 1 million is our goal. Am I right? I'm almost halfway there. Let's get it. It's okay. Yeah, I think that's quite good advice. Friends generally look up to you though when you start earning money. So it's a weird thing in psychology, right? When you earn money and you show it and you show that you've got resources, one of 2 things happened. And I've had money, I've lost money, I've had money. And when I've shared successes, I've found that people who I've not spoken to for a long time suddenly reach out and they're all like, hey, Rob, how's it going? We'll have to connect. We'll have to, grab a beer or whatnot. But then other people, they start to, they don't like the idea of money. Some people don't like the idea of money. So like they kind of go within their own shell and they don't like you. And it kind of causes a little bit of jealousy there. Human beings are strange. They're complex people. We are complex people. I can show you a list of hundreds of entrepreneurs who failed dozens of times and empathize with you. From Emotional Wheel, 7, 8, 5, 4. Most people I know tried 0 times, had 0 success and 0 failures, except their long-term contracts secured, salaries, and they are paradoxically proud to be a slave 2.0. Raise your head high. You tried things, you failed and succeeded, and you'll fail again. The truth is you are living the life of how most successful people live and lived. You also managed to perform 20 times, turning 2K to 200K. Just a proof of this can get you a great job. Save money and reinvest in other projects until you hit your golden one. You'll say that what is happening to you now is the best thing that ever happened to you because it activated the survival mode. Everyone lost it while in their boringly normal lives, waiting their death. This guy is a poet and dealing with daily depressive, repetitive issues. Read this poem. It always motivates me when I'm low. Okay, let's have a look at this. This poem says, Defeat my soul, my solitude, and my aloofness. You are dearer to me than 1,000 triumphs and sweeter. Defeat my self-knowledge and defiance. Through you, know that I am not yet young and swift of foot. Okay. I don't like poems, right? It's funny that I commented saying, I think this guy's a poet with his language, and then he tags a poem as well. So first of all, what did he say? He said, people are paradoxically proud to be a slave 2.0. We're all slaves, man, right? You either end up working for your employer or you end up working for your schedule. You end up working for your family or you end up working for your clients, right? We're all slaves, man. And most business owners make less than, the basic level of McDonald's workers, right? So people, I agree, don't try. It's easy for armchair experts to sit back and have 0 level of risk, but constantly be judging. Oh, if I was in that situation, I would have done this. If I was in this situation, we've all heard it, right? Armchair experts, CEOs of nothing, right? And the thing is, though, sometimes entrepreneurship's just not for certain people. I've got a friend, right? He tried entrepreneurship for a while, and I was like, and he kind of had his first failure as well, and some things went well. And then he went back to a job and has just been career climbing since. And I was like, dude, I hired him as a sales, one of my lead generators for a while, actually. And I said to him afterwards, I was like, dude, why don't you try entrepreneurship again? And he was like, Rob, I hate entrepreneurship. He was like, I gave it a go and just realized it's not for me. And he was like, I felt like a prisoner the entire time because I was having to work really, really hard and I didn't get anything for it, or I got very, very little for it. I was like, isn't that funny, right? The things we try and escape feeling like a prisoner, right? But sometimes what we have to go through is what we were feeling times 10, right? Because then suddenly you don't get any reward for it. You don't even get a monthly paycheck. Business is not for everyone. Sorry, but historically the concept of salary was attracted to create slaves to work on fields. That's why it's slavery 2.0. We pay you to rent and to eat and to buy stuff. All of these will end up in entrepreneurs' pocket. All right, so this is why you shouldn't take anonymous people's comments as facts, right? Sorry, but historically the concept of salary was created to attract slaves to work on fields. Not true at all. The word salary comes from the word salarium, which was what they gave Roman soldiers to buy salt, right? Then over time, which is like a commodity, but they needed money to obviously get it, right? And then over time, it's just become as like the regular payment for services, right? So don't listen to that. This person is very, very cynical. This person, Gentleman Tech here, says it's luck. Keep rolling the dice and eventually you'll win. You only need to win once. This is truly horrible advice. It's more than just luck. You have to know what you are doing and be able to effectively create and implement a successful strategy. To be honest with you, I think it's a little bit of both, right? You can have a successful strategy that's at the wrong time in the wrong place, and suddenly it doesn't work. You can have the right strategy and hit it just at the right point at the start of trends. If you look at any people who have amassed a huge amount of wealth and had huge successes, they've always been very smart, had good strategy, but also they've always been early to a trend and took a massive risk as well. And to be honest with you, there is that little bit of luck involved, and that luck is knowing where to suddenly implement the strategy in, right? And doing the right things at the right time. Luck is always a factor in whatever you do. You know, when I closed my first ever big deal, right? I closed my first ever big deal because I built up the skills of knowing what to do. I built up the service, which was a perfect match for this company as well. But also, basically it came down to that I was also speaking to the right person at the right time and had the right set of skills. That is a luck event, right? And the reason why I wanted to show you this, guys, is because you can see there's tons and tons of comments there, and a lot of people are feeling that it's very, very relatable what they're going through as well. We're constantly bombarded all day with these images of, you know, all these people living the best life, and I'm in the circles which we know some of these people, right? And to be honest with you, some of them aren't doing very well at all, or they might be doing well now, but it's only because they've built up an audience, but they never actually used to be doing very well, right? Until they built up the audience, even though they were telling everyone they were doing well. Life's complex, man. And it's kind of the same as well. You know, if you look on Instagram or TikTok and you get bombarded with these reels of you know, people who are 19 years old who've worked out for like a year and they are huge and they've put on so much muscle mass, and it's obviously steroids as well, but lo and behold, they're claiming natural because they like to believe that the result they have achieved has been completely, you know, through their own hard work as well. I heard one of the smartest comments that I'd ever heard, and it was, everyone likes to cheat a little bit, but not enough for where they feel bad for the result they've got, right? Not enough where they feel like they've maybe attained it a little bit easier. So if you look at these people on social media, constantly showing you the highlight reel, most of these guys aren't doing very well. You look at the people trying to sell the fitness programs as well, they haven't quite got into that shape on their own. I'm not saying this is the same for everyone, like there's definitely people out there, but what I do know is it's pretty prolific at the moment, people advertising the best part of their lives. And it's important that when you look at statistics, particularly for business, the rate of success is actually quite low. So don't feel bad if you fail your first few times. Life is long. I hope you enjoyed this video anyway. If you did enjoy this video and you found it a bit of a change from what I usually do, let me know because I'll do a few more like this as well. Take it easy. See you later.